Well, hello everybody. Welcome to this new episode of Learning from the Masters, where today we are going to talk about Sandro Botticelli, and really great artist, master from the early Renaissance. So, pretty cool choice to cover for this day. Kind of the oldest artist, I think. We are going back in time. This is the oldest we've covered so far. So I hope everyone's doing fine, and I hope everyone's excited. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Alright, so as always, I'm not an expert on Botticelli. I'm not an expert on the techniques of the Renaissance, especially because right here there's a lot of tempera, which I know almost nothing about. As always, I'm just looking at it's just like walking in a museum with you guys and just chit-chatting while we have a look at the paintings. So, alright. Hello Polar Bear, and hello Tom. Happy to finally catch a Learning from the Masters session. Polar Bear has been binge watching Indian Mexican dramatic soap opera. Wow, that's I don't know what to say about this, seriously. The acting is like this, apparently, says Polar Bear. Alright, so let's jump right into the man, the legend, that is the Sandro Botticelli. Do we have a chronologic? What do we have right here? Whoa! This is gruesome. This is the first time I see this painting. I've never seen that before. The discovery of Holofernes' corpse. Judith returns from the enemy camp at Bethulia. First of all, originally a diptych. Okay. Tempera on panel. So this is a tempera on panel. This is the first time I see that. Usually I have some knowledge of the paintings. Most of the paintings I've seen them before, or I have a vague idea because I've watched many paintings and I kind of keep them in my memories. But this one is the very first time I see this one. I like the horse, and I really like this face. The rest is kind of it's kind of meh. Hi Jim. Hey Béranger. And the corpse is it's interesting how Botticelli always makes everything feel kind of yellow, so it could be the alizarin crimson or some type of pigment disappearing. So you still have this old thing with Botticelli, with the use of pure colors, like very strong colors in some type of gold. But not that much. So with Botticelli, the main point of Botticelli was to work on this type of things. I mean, this horse right here is typically Botticelli's center of focus. Like, that's the main thing. Botticelli likes lines, and if you're interested in lines, and if for you a drawing can be completed with just a couple of curves, very nicely, elegantly designed curves, well, you of course have to love Botticelli. And yeah, I really like this horse, which I think is better than most other characters, and this characters as well is very tragic. I like the energy that these two share, don't you think? I mean, I find this interaction very interesting. In fact, I would probably just keep the two. Sorry, no. I would probably just I would probably just keep the two like this. Sorry if I had a misclick. And I think it would work as such. Just the two. Very intense look. I really like this look, and I really like this raw energy this man has. I don't know what he's supposed to do in this scene, and I'm not really familiar with the backstory, so if anyone wants to explain the backstory. Oh, look at this. It's either a metallic hand or something that wasn't finished, or a metallic glove, or an unfinished part. I don't know. Tempera, not tempura. Tempura. Tom's saying, is the yellow tint a result of the tempera drying on? Is it intentional? I don't know. I don't know. It could be the varnish. I mean, the yellowing, especially for old paintings, especially this one is very, very old. Could come from a lot of things, but the thing we noticed, I don't know what happened, if there's been a restoration or what, but the red is still very intense and looks in a way similar to what we could have seen as it was first painted. So first of all, this yellow, I'm talking about this yellow, but well, it doesn't really matter right here. It's not a good example because it's a corpse. So potentially could be just the choice of the artist. You can see that the right here the shadows are also very yellowish, like just some kind of brown, yellow brown. Whereas right here on this face, the shadows are a lot. They have a more reddish tint. But it could also be that some parts of the pink elements, essentially maybe some type of pigment that has gone, or it could be a choice because, well, could be a choice. So it's really hard to say. It's really hard to say. If the entire painting is entirely like, yellow, like very washed out, That's generally because of the varnish or because of something in a medium. But yeah, I would just have, if it was my painting, I would just have cropped it this way and kept just this part. Find this part very interesting. Very interesting. I'm not a fan of these two, these old men. I'm not a fan of this knight right here. I don't mind the people right here, but they're not as intense as this face. I mean, this face, you see the pure talent, in action. I mean, you see that Botticelli was a master at designing beautiful face, expressive face, and yeah, I find this very, very interesting, and I really like this face, the intense look, the shadows under the eyes, and kind of a sense of anger and disgust. Is that a word? Disgustedness? I hope it's a word. Hi, Stephanie. The whole painting has a yellowish tint, at least to my eyes. I thought maybe it was due to the egg drying and aging. Organics tends to yellow over time. Everything tends to yellow over time. Yeah, oil yellows over time. Everything yellows over time. I mean, and I'm sure our own skin yellows over time. So right here we have another one. Let's have a look at this one. Like typical Botticelli. That's what Botticelli was known for. That's what paid the bills for Botticelli and his studio workshop. We could say workshop because Botticelli was just before the age of the, you know, superstar painters. Salut Guédeux. Ah non, c'est pas mes lunettes, c'est pas des lunettes de vue, c'est des lunettes d'écran. Yeah, by the way, everyone, I'm wearing glasses, but it's not for my eyes. I don't have an eye condition. It's just for screens. It's like blue light protection. So yeah, I'm seeing everything just a tiny bit more yellowish than it is, so maybe it's my eyes as well. And my computer screen has not been properly reprocessed because I color check my computer screen regularly, but it's been a while, so could be also my mistake if I say this or that is too yellow, too red, because my screen needs some, you know, I don't know how to explain that. I have a calibration. I do calibration on my screen, so it could be why I have skipped the last calibration. So it could be so this thing makes your computer screen more accurate with colors, because like every computer screen kind of change colors in a way, and like, you know, you have a painting and you look at it on your computer and you say, well, that's not the right color, that's absolutely not the right color, and most of the time it comes from a computer screen that doesn't have the right calibration. So and my computer hasn't had its own calibration for the last 4 months, I think. All right. Hello, Burak. Hello, Mike Paulins. And yeah, and the glasses as well, because they filter the blue, so I have a slight tint. I chose them so that they don't have too much of a tint, but yeah. So right here you see as well, like, but I don't think I'm dreaming everything feels very yellowish. Let me just see if it's a tempera. It's hard to say. So it's hard to say. It could be oil, could be tempera. There's lots of tempera with Botticelli. But the cutter was not Botticelli's main thing. You can clearly see that Botticelli's main point of focus was these types of lines, circling and very elegantly. Like, the design was really what was in Botticelli's mind. Sometimes some of his like preparatory drawings are actually way more convincing than the final paintings, like the final result, because Botticelli was more into the drawing and the linear aspects of art, like the harmony, the proportions, and kind of Botticelli was kind of obsessed with figuring out canons of human beauty. If someone was concerned with canons of human beauty, there was definitely Botticelli. He was very, very concerned with catching what makes a person beautiful, kind of like the ancient antique idea from the Greeks that beauty can be valued in a series of numbers, of canons, and that you can make the proportions as perfect as possible, like as perfect as God's. So, and Botticelli was kind of, in a way, making this, but it was not like fixing the proportions. It was more like refining and curving the lines to make them just more appealing, more elegant, more charming, and there was a lot of sensitivity and in Botticelli's canons, and this one doesn't seem perfect. But you'll see that there is a very specific likeness that always reappears, and I'm gonna explain why later when we see it, because it's the likeness from one specific person that was very important in Botticelli's career. Oh, hello, mythical alien. Let me just check this screen to see if, okay. Alright, we're running. Apparently YouTube is not giving up on me today. Alright. Talking about series and shows. Alright. So. Il utilise un dérivé d'or pour avoir du jaune, je pense. Ils avaient que du rouge et bleu et blanc de ce temps. Du coup, ça donne des marrons dorés. Un dérivé d'or. Ah, ça, je sais pas, tu vois. Do you find his faces are very similar to the High Renaissance's faces? No, his faces are very similar to Botticelli's faces. That's let me just go back and try to see if we can have like the page. No, not this one. Well, yeah, this one as well, but make just everyone. Alright, so most of his faces, well, let's look at this one. Most of his faces look like this, and the likeness is is obtained from a lady whose name was Simonetta Vespucci, and he used the traits, like the physical appearance of this lady, to idealize and canonize faces, very similar to like, let's say Waterhouse, for instance, has ladies, like canon ladies, that look very similar in a way. So you also have her right here. That's Simonetta Vespucci for you again. Same face. And the rest of the faces are kind of modeled around her, but with different proportions. You have her right here as well. Again, it's not always exactly the same, because he idealized the features of the face. Botticelli was really about idealizing, and I have a very limited selection, and of course you have her right here, super idealized. I have to say, it's very dark. This one is very dark. I don't know if the real one is as dark as this one. So the whole point was to sort of capture beauty, and he was very, very impressed, I think, by the sense of beauty that he found in Simonetta Vespucci's face. So this is why he decided to kind of make this his canon, and you find this in no other artist from the Renaissance. You will not find the same type of design. And I like that Botticelli was really elegant. He didn't go too much for the famous Roman nose with almost no angle right here. Botticelli always went for nose that were believable, which I think the Romans and Greeks were not. Like, they sort of idealized this angle to make it too flat and make it very flat, which makes it seem like very weird in a way. And Botticelli, you never find this in Botticelli's faces. So he really had his own style. I think he did a lot of research. He had a lot of drawings trying to find the right expression, the right type of face, what to him felt the best, and he went for that. All right. I have never seen this composition as well. I don't know Botticelli that much, I have to say. I mentioned the painting we saw before, not a general motive, but I appreciate, yeah. Hello, Mike. Dimensional look and anatomy of characters are so weird. Yeah, well, it's early Renaissance, so it's still... you have to know and remember that this is just the end of the Middle Ages. So yeah, of course, you have some weird weird mistakes. That's old. That's very old. And but if you look at the type of paintings and drawings that people were doing before that, well, it was really not as lifelike as this, and the figures were much less well designed in a way. But look at this. That's a great pose. I really like this pose. It's too bad that there's not a great sense of depth in the shadows and in the form. But this face is very elegant with the beard. Everything's very elegant, very like very gracious. Everything's very gracious with Botticelli. That's the thing. Even this face. And you can clearly see right here the emphasis on line, how the line is more important than the rest. So basically you would just draw the lines and just fill in the space between the lines with color. So color was a secondary aspect. I mean, even that, it's very good. I'm not a fan of this one, but this face is good. I mean, it's all very exquisite. And this one, kind of same pose as we've seen earlier. There's always some kind of sensitivity that was very unique at the time. Very unique. And I've got to say, like, the final aspects of the color was surpassed a couple of years ago after Botticelli, but the expression and the sense of this emphasis on elegance and beauty and good design was not surpassed by many, even after. So he was a very early master of the Renaissance, but his style was very, very unique. And that's probably what makes him so popular even today. He was not a master of color, though. That's but we have to remember that it's very early, and that many of his paintings are tempera. Tempera is not bad for rendering colors. This one is tempera and oil. Tempera is not bad for colors, but it's much more painstaking, and you can feel that. Alright, so we have a De Medici, Giuliano de Medici. There is a neck problem right here, or a shoulder problem. Some type of shoulder problem. Can you see? Well, it's hard to say because we don't have the real model, but I mean, this angle right here doesn't feel right. Or you'll have shoulder a little bit more like this, and probably the neck a little bit less like this. I don't know, there's something. Who am I to say? But I think there is something. Hello. Hey, Carrie Jones. And who else? Tom Sender looks like his head is on backwards. Yeah, that's true. That's how it feels. Because, well, this type of curve indicated right here is the type of curve that you have on the back, because your back is always more curvy, and the chest, the front face of the chest, pushes more inwards. So if you have someone sitting like this, generally it's gonna make it look this way. You mostly want to display the lines in this direction so that it doesn't feel like it's the back, especially because you have a color that has some design which indicates that it cannot open right here apparently, but it opens here, which kind of makes it feel weird, I have to say. This is not a great portrait in my opinion, but maybe it was student work, or maybe it's just a failure of this time. You have to know that the art of portraiture was not perfected at the time, and still is tempera again. There's a lot of backstory, so I'm not gonna read it. But yeah, there's something wrong with this. That's what we can say. Super wrong. Super wrong. All right. Oh, and Carrie, I haven't seen that Carrie. I haven't realized that Carrie just said the same comment. Carrie beat you in the typing competition. Yeah, this neck as well. It's so bulky. And this arm is so thin. Everything looks just weird. This, I've never seen this one before as well. And, just feels wrong. And there's just the composition is not right. So let's say he's a guy with a big neck. Let's say he's a person with a big neck. So even if he has a big beef neck like this, that's not the type of pose that you want. So I don't know. Again, very early Renaissance, very early portrait. The art of portrait is an art that we take for granted. It's hundreds of years of trial and error, and yeah, it's not that easy. And still, it's early Renaissance and early work for Sandro Botticelli. This lady is much more elegant. Much more elegant. That's much better. So the neck is a little bit thick, I say, as well. It's kind of maybe a mistake from his youth. I just think that if you're willing to idealize, maybe cut the neck a little bit. Maybe she has a big bulky neck, and then put one shoulder a little bit up so that you have a nice, you know, you take the clavicle line, and this way you have a nice unbalance. But this one is much more elegant already. You can feel that he was much more comfortable with this one. It's amazing to see how many of the 20th century artists use so much of the styles and technique incorporated into their works. Many Impressionists, Surrealists were fans of Italian Renaissance painters. Well, how can you not be fan of the forefathers, like the how do you say, I've lost the word. Well, the pioneers of some type of art, and Botticelli was definitely a pioneer. So he was stepping on unknown land. Though apparently she was pregnant, or maybe it was a sign that she was expecting to expect, or I don't know. It could have meaning that either she was pregnant or was on the way or looking for. Does anyone else feel like old masters did everything in the past and there is nothing left for us to explore and create? Absolutely not, Barack. And even if you do the same thing thousands of times, it will still look different. If you do a portrait of a lady today, that's a thing that has been done tons and tons of times in the past. Like, it's been done, like a portrait of a lady like this, it's been done. I don't know how many portraits of ladies we can find. There's probably millions or like more than this. And still, you can still make one that is still amazing and it's still breathtaking, and it's just like saying, yeah. And how can you know that everything has been done? No, not everything has been done at all. So there is still a lot for us to explore and create, and still keeping things very classical and traditional. But you can also explore and create in much more unexpected ways. So no, that's the beauty of it. It's just like just the same thing, like there was a Vsauce episode. I don't know if you guys know the channel called Vsauce, but I really encourage you to follow them. And Michael Stevens from Vsauce is really awesome, and he had a video asking when will we run out of music, like how many possible music combinations can we do, and he had that like incorporated with the math and all, and then the science behind music. And it's the same thing. When are we going to run out of music? Like, because at some point everything will, at some point, isn't there a time in the future where music is going to be completely done. Like we will have exhausted all good music, and we will only have one thing to do, is rehash. And I don't know what he's demonstrating in the video, so you have to check it out. Just type Vsauce music, and yeah, I should do the hey Vsauce, Michael here. Very Black Master. I know it. I mean, it's like building a new and better building over an older building. Yeah, exactly. It's like a city, like a huge city full of motion and activity. It's not running out because the entire city has been built before. Just your analogy is quite on point. You can always make the buildings better. You have to refresh the view, and you have to make things more compatible with modern life. So you can do the same portrait of a lady. Just take portrait of a lady. It's a common theme, and make it fit the modern view, the modern world, the here and now, and still be based on the past, as you say. You're right, because like the way the city is designed still follows the history of what was before. If someone has built a cathedral right in the middle, all the houses have to use this the same type of organization. All right, so on my side the YouTube is lagging. No, apparently not. Yeah, your Burak, your analogy of buildings and cities is on point. So, yay for us artists. We are not going to run out of paintings to paint. It's a great thing. So you can see that Botticelli kind of had a design for most of his ladies. Many of them are kind of quietly looking down like this. Still, he had a problem with necks. That's the only thing I have to say. Right here you really see the main idea of Botticelli's working technique, really first outlining everything and creating a very strong, sharp outline. And this outline was part of the final result. And Da Vinci was really against that. He criticized Botticelli's technique a lot for that very reason, because you still see the line appearing, and Da Vinci was against this type of thing. He was advocating for a style where the lines, because they do not exist, so you don't paint what does not exist, you just follow the shadows. That way you don't have to cut these lines. But remember, lots of tempera, so not the same as oil. Have to be much quicker, much faster. You have to work with a lot more organization, and so yeah, it has to. Having a lines helps. Black Master généralement c'est Florent Kent. Mais non, c'est des lunettes pour la lumière de l'ordinateur. C'est même pas des lunettes de vue. Voilà. Et puis en effet, de toute façon, je peux pas révéler ma vraie identité. Donc de toute façon, tu ne le sauras pas. And you still have Tom is saying still against the same idea of innovation. You still have the option to innovate. There's such a I don't think there is such a thing as all. There are endless shapes and ideas, so you have endless options and variations. At any point in time, all the types of buildings have been built. Between the last to be built and the next to be invented, everything known has already been built. Yeah, and doesn't mean that we don't build anymore. And yeah, and that was the point. Everybody sees different thing. Hello Vox. Put one object for a group that group painted, and all will be different. That's true as well. Because when you're painting, you're not just painting the object, and like, what's the word that we use? We say, I want to paint this type of subject. Oh, the bowl of fruits is a subject. The Madonna and Child is a subject. Because you don't paint an object. You don't paint a flat thing, a painting. You don't paint an image as an object. Like the physical thing of the painting is an image, but you paint a subject, and subject has to do with your own subjectivity. You subject the painting, because there is it's very philosophical, but you put a lot more of yourself in the painting than you put from the outside world. So a painting is not something objective. Even if you really want to copy and you say, yeah, be as accurate as possible, I really want you to just make a mental copy of this object, it's still not going to be objective in any sort of way. It's always going to be subjective. So that's a good point, Vox, which makes a good point even before she says hi. So hi, Vox. All right. Not in a realistic method, I guess. How can you paint a portrait with a different and new method of realistic? No, there's lots of ways to be realistic. Just asking the model to have her face look down, or look at you, or look outside the window, or look up. I mean, that's the first artistic choice that you do. I mean, there are lots of ways, even within the realms of realism. There are still infinite amounts of possibilities, and just the most fundamental possibility in terms of subjectivity in realism, even the sharpest realism, is to paint or not to paint, because that is the question. I mean, do you want to paint it or not? That's the first type of subjectivity that goes into your painting. If you paint it, that means that you have some type of subjective interest in representing the realism of this specific thing. Because if I challenge 5 students to paint a bowl of fruits as realistically as possible, maybe one of them is going to say, no, I don't want to paint a bowl of fruits, that's boring, I want to paint a landscape. And that's the first subjective choice, because no one is expecting any work of art to exist at all. That's the main thing that you have to realize about the vanity and the beauty as well of art, and what we do as artists, is that no one is expecting you to paint. No one is waiting for you to just decide to paint a bowl of fruits. No one even cares. And if you don't paint, I mean, people's life are not going to be changed. See? People's lives are not going to be affected by you not painting it. But it can be affected by you painting it. I don't know if you see the thing. Art is important. You can ask anyone who's going to say, yeah, art is important. I couldn't live without art. It gives meaning, it gives this and that. But it's not like, gasoline is important. Yeah, gasoline is important. And if gasoline doesn't arrive, if you don't put it in your car, you're going to be in quite a pickle. So you expect the fuel industry to provide you with gasoline, right? But art is important as well. It's like fuel for your spirit, right? But the thing is, you don't expect the artist to provide you with art. You expect the artist to surprise you with art. And you expect the artist to bring some type of answer to a question that you never asked. That's the weird meaning that the work of an artist has a weird meaning. Because no one is expecting you to do anything in any specific way. So even with the most sharp, brutal type of realism, you can still surprise everyone. And that's the whole point. All right. To paint or not to paint, that's the question. Yeah, quote me on that. But I still... quote me on that. I still think that... to paint or not to paint, that is the question. I'm proud of copying Shakespeare on this one. Art that was so Tom has another formulation. Art that was never made any effect. That's also a great way to say it. A brush can change the world just like an idea. Yeah, exactly. Or an unpainted face. Hey, Joko. All right, so let's jump to another painting. What is Botticelli going to surprise us with? La Primavera. La Primavera, or yeah, La Primavera, which means spring. A very famous painting. The only thing I've always, I really like this painting. This one is, I think, very is one of the pieces of Botticelli, definitely. With all the Three Graces. You have a figure of Simonetta Vespucci as a Flora. You have here maybe Venus, I'm not sure. The Three Graces and kind of a little Cupid. And you have the fruits. Well, fruits are more for summertime, but maybe Botticelli didn't. He wanted to. Yeah, fruits. Not really spring, though. I don't know what he was trying to mean. But what I was saying is the only thing that I've always thought or really like this painting, as I said. The only thing is, man, it's very dark, and I don't know if it has darkened. I have conflicted feelings about how dark the background is on this one. Because first of all, it really makes the figures very sharp, and they look, they just pop out so much, which is great. I really like this. But it feels very dark though. It feels very dark. So something about spring, but maybe has kind of discolored. So love is blind, see? If you were still worrying, just wait for it. It's going to shoot an arrow without looking at it. So I really like the Three Graces right here. Really sweet composition. That there, it's much better with necks and all. And by the way, for all the things that I was saying before, maybe it was also workshop. Because of the workshop, you know, Botticelli worked at a time where you had a lot of students working with you, learning with you, and working for you. So it was not uncommon that the master would just paint the face and the students would just finish the rest. So maybe when I see these great lines, and this neck is just perfect, this one as well, this one as well, this one here, no problem at all. This one, but this one as well, this one. I'm saying that maybe the mistakes that we've seen before, it was probably maybe a little bit harsh, and maybe it was just workshop fault. So who knows? Who knows? Dark because he used more red and black. Is the painting not the meaning of spring? Yes, it is spring. But spring is not summer. You generally don't have fruits in spring. Or not. What seems to be apples or peaches? There is a nasty fairy trying to grab that lady. It's not a nasty fairy. It's the figuration of the winter, the wind and the winter, trying to catch the lady, but the lady is escaping. See, it means that, like, that's right now, this time of the year, or at least in Europe, I don't know where you are, but this time of year where you have sometimes beautiful sunshine, but still winter is still running after you, and one day it's very cold, and it's this time of the day. It was pretty common to draw women with full bellies for several centuries, actually. It's part symbolism, part fashion. Says Tom. So the bellies are fertility, the peaches maybe also. Yeah, maybe. Peaches or apples, which have been used the same way all along history, are kind of the fruit of temptation. So, of course, they symbolize, in a way, temptation. And right here, the man is trying to catch a fruit, or is he just blowing the wind away? I don't know, hard to say. Well, anyway, I really like the three graces, and I especially love the very gracious play on hands and arms, and the very nice curves and the looks and the curly hair and the transparent dresses, veils. Hey Zane. It's the same guy who made Birth of Venus. Yes, of course, it's Botticelli. So this painting reads from right to left as the progression of spring. So it's so you have winter right here, of course. And the very first, oh, and I'm not an expert in all the flowers, but maybe this was the very first flower that appears in Toscana or in Italy. I don't know about flowers, but that's probably one of the early flowers. And then you have all the flowers appearing. And then you have what? What is this lady symbolizing? As progression of spring. And then it's time for love. Yes, it's time for love. She's symbolizing love. So first the early flowers, then blossoming tornado, and then love, and and then grace and beauty, I guess. So that would be the progression. Interesting. The lady in the middle is Venus. Yeah, so symbolizing love, I guess. There are about 150 different flower types in the paintings, with the earlier to the right and the late bloomers to the left. Ah, interesting. So you're confirming. You're confirming. Many flowers are right here, actually. Yeah, you can see that. Yeah, the early flowers of the spring. I don't know much about flowers, but I trust your information, Tom. At the end is Mercury chasing the last clouds away. Alright. Alright. Pretty cool. Very famous. Famous painting. Alright, let's have a look. Oh, of course, how can we not have a look at this one? But this one is too famous, it's not fair. It's not even fair. I mean, what can I say that has not been said about this this painting? Don't know much about Botticelli, but this is one of my favorite paintings ever. Yeah, see, when I was telling you about the lines, you definitely see that in action right here. The way the curves have been very expertly and very sensitively carved. Almost everything is super sharp, and it's just perfect line, perfect idealized line. Right here there's a kind of a problem with this ankle that's not anatomically correct. Right here it's blah. I'm sorry to say, but this ankle is not properly, or she's been just stung by some type of bee. But there's a problem with this ankle, and this is the only thing. But of course the rest is not anatomically correct. It's also a problem with the shoulders. The neck is a little bit too long, but it's all idealized. Right here is all idealized to kind of shape the thing, just like with clay, and the painter is just pushing the lines, yeah, and rearranging everything to fit a cannon that he has in his head, in his imagination. And it's so typical of Botticelli. This type of canon is very, very typical of Botticelli. You don't find exactly the same type of idealization anywhere else. You can see here how he apparently had this a little bit more curved. Wow, it's amazing the level of detail. Wow. Right, so you can see you can see right here that this curve was a little bit more pushed in the beginning. And this bicep was apparently a little bit thinner before, which would have made, yeah, I agree with this one. It had to be done right. Apparently he hesitated right here. Hesitated right here. I never knew that you could see all the pentimento so well. It's just amazing to follow the lines. Follow the lines. And see what's going on. Well, don't like this thumb as well. I've never looked at it so closely. And this foot, no, the feet are not. The feet are not done well. There's a problem with the ankles, and yeah, no, they're not good. Not good. Sorry. I really like Botticelli, but these feet, it has to be perfect all the way to the toes. And right here it's not. Especially with such a strong black line. It doesn't feel right. It's too bad because it's just a silky, milky dream right here. It's all like so soft, so well polished. Everything just feels like it's very, very really beautiful. And I don't mind that the knees are almost non-existent. I don't really mind because it goes all with the curve, but these the feet are not specifically correct. The elongated bodies are similar to mannerism, but way earlier to that period. Yeah, Botticelli was his own mannerist in a way. He had his own mannerism. The breasts aren't that well made either. It's a little bit roundish, yeah. Doesn't look really natural. And this is where you see the limits of drawing with lines. Is that this line is way too sharp to make things appear convincing. And this line right here is, well, I'm not gonna say misplaced, but it shouldn't be placed here. Well, take that as you want, idealized or not. But you have to move the shoulders up. Well, there's lots of things that you have to do to make it look anatomically convincing. But she's made of rubber. You have to know that. She's made of rubber because she's just bending under the will of the artist. And the artist's will is to make her appear like this. But again, when you're here from this angle, when you see the entire thing, I mean, nothing looks shocking, really. Everything looks very, very elegant, very gracious, and I think that's the point. The point is not to just put your nose super, super close and realize that the feet are not great and all. No, it's not the point. The point is to make a whole that's elegant and refined. Yeah, the left breast is misplaced, and if the hand weren't here, it would just look so weird. But like many things, Botticelli was not. It didn't shy away from making the figures look however he wanted to. As IMDAHG says, every artist will exaggerate shapes, form, details. I don't know if at this point he was thinking about the next 10 paintings he was working on. Isn't the neck way too long? Yeah, but if you start asking anatomically speaking, everything is very, very misplaced. So, and you have even more terrible feet right here. What even is that? Seriously? No, that's just a couple of sausages. Like fighting to get out. And it's too small. That's not right. More sausages. I'm sorry, I'm being harsh, but hands are, well, I like hands. These hands, good. But if as artists we cannot criticize, if we don't allow ourselves to criticize, I mean, what do we have for ourselves? We have to be very critical of ourselves. We have to be very critical of anything we see. So I don't mind. I don't mind saying that Botticelli was a master, but I still won't hesitate to say if something doesn't look right for me. And I'm not judging or anything. I'm just saying, no, it's not right. It's not right. Maybe it was not the original design. I'm always willing to nuance what I say, but if something doesn't look right, I say it. I'm not saying that this Venus doesn't look right, because I'm saying that this idealized bundle of lines and curves is looking spectacular. Not all parts are the same. You wouldn't find this in a real person, that's for sure. And in a figure drawing class, your instructor would just destroy you if you do something like this. It's sort of like the Mr. Bean movie where he ruined that painting and drew his own style on face. Well, it happened in real life. When did it happen? Let me check. Let me See, have you heard about this story? It's not just Mr. Bean. It's also, it happened in real life. That apparently this old grandma. So this was the painting on a wall, like a fresco in a church in Spain, where you have this very deteriorated portrait of Christ, and this old grandma has painted it. It's so funny. It always cracks me up. Oh my gosh. And I don't know if they kept it. I should. It's been a while, and it's been a couple of, maybe it's been a year or a couple, more than a year, a couple of years. I don't know if they kept it, but that could be the attraction of the place, really, because it's so bad. Oh my gosh. How could this old lady think she was going to do proper restoration? I don't believe that. um, oh no. Still here, apparently. I have to visit this church because, I mean, to me, this is history. I mean, there's not a lot of fun in the world of history of art, and it's all very serious business and all. Everything's just very serious. Oh, and look at Rembrandt. He used to and he had this technique, and then you have Delacroix, and he has, but it's never often that you can really look at something and just laugh. But this one, clearly, ow! And how could she not figure that the fake roll that the Christ was painted on, which I have to say, originally was bad as well. I don't know if it's original. I don't think the painters that did the portrait of Christ also did the roll. I think the roll was made by someone else. Just saying. But still, if the roll is done this way, it's clear that it's rolling back and not rolling in front with a weird. Oh my gosh! And why how is that supposed to be a beard? How in hell is that supposed to be a beard? Wow. Wow. There's not that many funny pictures in art, but this one. I saw it improve the tourism and give money to the town. That's so great. I love that. But they should have I hope they have a replica, or a copy or a picture of the former painting. Oh yeah, I would go visit that town. I would go there, definitely. I would go there. Next time I'm in Spain, I mean, I'm not visiting the Prado or anything, I'm just visiting this town. Forget about Velázquez and all. I want to see the old lady's painting. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think anyone has asked her to paint. I think she kind of decided on her own. I haven't read the entire story. But in Borgia. Borgia, the one sleepy. She was quickly nicknamed Ecce Homo, behold the monkey. Oh yeah, it actually brought tourists. Oh, well, that's great because this it benefited Holt's people's home and the church and the congregation and the local business. Mrs. Jimenez. Oh, she's expecting to reach a copyright deal. She has also opened an exhibition of her work, including an Ecce Homo commissioned. Oh, well, she has good art. She's terrible at painting. She has good art. So, good lady. It's just funny, and it's just funny. Well, these eyes staring. I think they're staring down at me. They're staring down in me. I mean, saying "behold the monkey" is insulting to monkeys. Really? I mean. This is so bad that... these eyes... To me, it looks more like Satan than a monkey. Because what is he like? Isn't he like devouring souls, right? What's happening around the mouth? Any more things like this? No, unfortunately, not many things like this. Well, you can always type bad paintings or bad drawings in Google Images, but this one the story just felt so natural. I mean, she had a good heart. She wanted to help out. Oh, but this is a disaster. And the painting was really, really elegant before. I mean, it's true that it needed restoration badly before. I mean, it was in an advanced state of deterioration, and it's a chance that she was right. Things need to be done. I mean, because soon after the entire face would be completely destroyed. Right here you have the main parts of the face that miraculously were saved. Well, not so miraculously, I have to say, because this happened. But, well, I mean, things needed to be done quick because this was painted al fresco. So it's just right on the wall. So the wall is taking all the humidity. It gets warm, it gets cold, and yeah. It's generally not a good idea to paint on the walls directly of a church. It's always better to have some type of surface, like independent from the walls. Some type of surface, even panel or a canvas or whatever. But yeah, some type of surface. You never want to paint on walls directly. Potato Jesus. Oh, that's right, potato Jesus. But what's with the, the thing, like the hair? I would be mad if I was him. Oh, come on. Do you think that... No. Do you think that Jesus is going to be mad? I think he's going to forgive her for painting her like a monkey. Because he's all about forgiveness, right? And she had a good heart. Satan would look better. Yeah, I mean, much more badass probably. Like, really, like, with horns and very mad, very angry. And yeah, this just looks without any shape at all. And it's funny to think about what makes a good painting, which was a good painting, I have to say, and what makes it a terrifyingly bad one. Really, what's the difference that we see? Because everyone can see the difference, everyone can feel the difference, but it's just a juxtaposition of patches of color sitting next to each other. How are we so able to see the difference? I mean, you show that to an alien species from outer space, maybe they don't really understand how you can see that this one is way worse. And it's funny, it makes you think really about what makes a good painting. Because what makes this painting a good painting, really? It's funny. Funny story. Did it really, or is the original somewhere and it's all a device to get tourists? It's hard to comprehend. No, when I first read about the story, I think it was pretty real. I never fact check it myself, but no, at the time, and there was no tourist involved, and it still happened. But at the point, there was the town and the congregation was more thinking about like reparations, like suing her or have her like repay, like, well, looks like his robe is even gravy colored. Is that a fong coming out? I don't know, I thought he was devouring souls, but maybe it's just a fong. It's hard to say where's the mouth exactly. But let's how did you say she was called? Let's try to see what she has to offer. No. Because apparently she's doing other paintings? I'm just curious. Right, I typed Cecilia Jimenez other paintings and I have this one. This one is so funny. Apparently she has other paintings. I cannot. Oh, she has another one. Ooh. Ooh. Oh. Cecilia Jimenez making her own work. It's much better. It doesn't look like a monkey this time, I have to say. That's a little bit better, which doesn't say much, but that's a little bit better, right? I mean, she has a good heart, apparently, and they don't show too many of her other paintings, mostly parodies. Oh, yeah, this one also is the Cristiano Ronaldo statue. Oh, yeah, I've got to type this one as well. It's so funny. Cristiano Ronaldo. Terrible stage. Maybe I'm not typing right. Yeah, Cristiano Ronaldo. I mean, that's a work of art. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh. I mean, the likeness is not even there. I mean, apparently they had a statue of him done in a portrait in Portugal. And Cristiano Ronaldo is a good-looking man. I mean, he's a beautiful man. But wow. So every time someone says proportions is not important, you say, all right, look at this statue. Yeah, that's the only one I remember that's kind of similar to the... I'm sorry, guys, we were talking about Botticelli and... how did we end up here? I wouldn't want somebody to paint over one of my paintings. Yes, but I don't think anyone asked this lady to paint over. More pics, more pics. Yeah, but how many failed artworks do you think there is? This one is particularly bad. Well, maybe I'll do a special episode on failed. Yeah, wow. Oh my god. Oh. That's not even right. The eyes should be closer and oh wow. Oh, this hurts. Oh, this hurts. No, but if you're not a good sculptor, you try to do something else, like, you know, maybe work on more abstract sculptures, or I mean, sculpting a bust is tough job. I mean, it's just like is as hard as painting, but it has to be 3D. You have to basically paint in 3 dimensions. It's terribly hard, because you can get the likeness, and I'm sure that's what happened. Is imagine that you turn the statue a little bit, and maybe you have one angle that's right. I mean, under this angle, the likeness is just perfect and very sharp. But you turn it, and it looks like this. That's the super tricky part about sculpting, is that your mind has to be in 360 degrees all over the place. Just like in a painting, you're painting something flat, so the likeness is just one angle, one point of view. A sculpture is much more difficult, so it's very, very tricky to do something like this, actually. So, but we have the chance to have modern art, and So why not do something completely abstract and say, oh right, it's the spirit of Cristiano Ronaldo. I just painted a football, and it has this and this symbol and this, and there you go. You have your sculpture. That was very risky to try to get the likeness. Alright, so maybe I'll do a special episode on failed oh my god, on on failed artwork one day. I'll do a special episode, maybe with one of my own some of my own failures, or maybe all of my work. Who knows? Maybe someday people will laugh looking at my work. It can always happen, guys. Alright, this was fun. I thought we would be more serious with Botticelli, more in grace and elegance, and we ended up looking at this type of things. So I'm going to have nightmares. And as always, guys, thank you for being here. I hope you can get up after this this episode. I will have a hard time living with that image in my head. But anyway, I'm gonna visit Spain and Portugal next time, and I really want to see these. And it's kind of a good trip. Spain, Portugal, you can do that in a couple of days, a couple of weeks. Visit the failed pictures of the Christ and the failed sculpture of Cristiano Ronaldo. That can be a great trip. Alright, you guys, thank you for watching. And so there's no stream next week. I'm out of town, so no stream next week, but I'll schedule a video. I've got a new tutorial, drawing tutorial coming up, so I'll schedule it so it's going to be automatic, because where I go I don't have internet. Yes, it exists. Places with no internet exists where I could have internet, but I have to pay max, so I don't want to. And it's kind of nice to not have internet sometimes. Alright, see you everyone. Have a good one, and so see you not next week, but the week after that. Bye!